Savannah, Georgia, Thursday, September 5th, 2024, 12:26 a.m. Warm, humid night, light rain after a thunderstorm. Evening. Hop in, get comfortable. Seatbelt's right there. Door sticks a bit when the air's this wet. Savannah does that to everything. You good with the AC? I can turn it down so it's not blasting you in the face. Music okay? I keep a little jazz on, low. At this hour, the city's already loud in its own way. Drain covers gurgling, wipers squeaking, tires hissing on wet pavement. So I don't like fighting it with loud music. Need a charger? Regular and iPhone. Here, take it. And if you want it quieter or warmer, just tell me. This car's like a tiny room. One person's freezing, the next one's melting. I just want you comfortable. All right. Historic district. Got it. I'll cut through DeSoto. It's calmer right now. You just said, "Can you hear me?" I'm not nitpicking. It's just funny timing. That phrase is like a match. Nothing special, then it lights up something in your head. Sorry, went quiet. You reminded me of a shift 2 years ago. Same kind of rain. I picked someone up and he checked the audio the exact same way. Can you hear me? Back then, I'd have answered, yeah, without thinking. After that night, I don't. Even now, my mouth wanted to say it and I had to stop myself. Sounds dumb, I know. Since we've got a bit of a ride, I'll tell you. Not like a spooky story, just why I sometimes stare at the mirror a second too long. It was late October 2022, here in Savannah. I was working nights non-stop then. Night rate, decent tips, fewer tourists. I like the quiet. Tires on wet asphalt, wipers, and that's it. That night, I got a pickup by an old building that used to house a local radio station office. Not the flashy tower, just the old office block with faded windows and a little lot out front. Drizzle, almost fog, pavement shiny like black glass, streetlights smeared in the puddles. I pulled up, hazards on, waited, listening to the rain tick on the roof. A guy comes out. Mid-30s, normal clothes, backpack. He's carrying a small hard case and a taped-up cardboard box. He gets in back, sets the box beside him like it matters. I go, "Evening, where to?" He leans forward between the seats, polite, and says low, "Can I ask you something? Can you hear me?" I smiled, thought he was just checking the connection. So I said, "Yeah, I hear you." He nods once. "Good. If I ask that again while we're driving, don't answer out loud. Not yes, not no. Just keep driving." First weird thing. Not a request, more like a rule. I look at him in the mirror. Clear eyes, not drunk, not playing around. He sounded like someone who'd already tried to explain this to people and it never went well. I said, "All right. Where to?" He gave me an address east of downtown, closer to the industrial stretch. Then, "Don't say the address out loud. Type it in quietly." So I did, and we rolled out. Wet streets, street lamps, Spanish moss hanging off the oaks. When it rains here, the whole town looks polished, like somebody buffed it for a postcard and then forgot to wipe it down. My dispatch radio clicks now and then, that little pop of static that's usually just background. 5 minutes in, he leans forward again and says, almost a whisper, "Can you hear me?" My body wanted to answer. Reflex. But I remembered. So I just nodded. No sound. He exhales like I did something important. Then he pulls a little device out of the box, like a recorder with a tiny screen, and watches it on his knees.
And then my navigation voice cuts in, out of nowhere. "Check your audio. Can you hear me?" I breathed out hard. That's not a nav line. I glance at the screen. Route's normal. Time reads 1:17. Those numbers still mess with me. He says quietly, "See, don't answer. Never." Then dispatch clicks. "Car 17, radio check. Can you hear me?" My unit that night was 17. Sure, coincidences happen, but my stomach dropped anyway. I didn't answer. Dispatch repeats it and the audio warps, like it's stretching, and suddenly it sounds like me. Same tone I use with customers. And it asks again, "Can you hear me?" My hand went for the volume. It was shaking. I turned it down. The passenger says, "Please don't kill everything at once. If you cut it hard, it looks for another way out." We keep driving, and I start noticing the same spot. Same wet brick wall, same rectangle of headlight on it, like we're looping. At first, I told myself it was just the rain making everything look the same. In the dark, a brick wall is a brick wall. But then I realized I'd seen one specific crack in the mortar twice. Same little jagged line like a lightning bolt, and the same trash can with a dent on the rim, right where the light hits it. I can't prove it, but it felt like the city was rewinding 10 seconds and dropping us back in place. He checks his device and goes, "Short loop, still short," like he'd seen longer. We hit Victory Drive. Those trees make a tunnel at night, and I realize we're going too slow. Speedometer says 17. I press the gas and the car barely responds, like something gentle is holding us back. He looks at the screen. 17 again, okay. That was the third weird thing. He expected it. I finally said, "All right, what is going on? Who are you?" He answers, "I work with sound, public address systems, broadcast stuff. Doesn't matter. What matters is, there are places in this city where, at night, machines start repeating whatever is easiest, the shortest check. And if you answer, it stores your answer as part of the loop." I'm trying to tell myself it's humidity, old wiring. Then the cabin gets so quiet I can hear a single drop tap the window. And into that quiet comes the question again. Not from the phone, not from dispatch, like it crawled out of the dash. "Can you hear me?" My nav screen, where it shows ETA, flashes the word "here" for a split second. Like autofill, I didn't touch it. He leans in. "Your name. Don't say your name out loud until this ride is over." My throat went dry. Right after he said it, I heard, soft, right by my ear, someone say my name. Like a mic check. I turned my head. Nobody. He was sitting straight, but the voice felt like it came from the seat fabric. We're entering the darker stretch. Warehouses, fences, containers. The nav says, "You're almost there. Can you hear me?" I don't answer. I barely breathe. He whispers, "If it asks 3 times in a row, watch the road, not the mirror, not the screen." That's when it flipped for me, because I wanted to look in the mirror so bad. I'm a driver. Mirrors are my whole job. Mirrors are how you keep yourself safe. So when someone tells you, calmly, "Don't look," it hits some primitive part of you. When you're told, "Don't look," your brain starts drawing pictures and then dares you to confirm them. I hold it, eyes forward, and I see a man on the shoulder, umbrella up, face hidden. We pass him. A minute later, there he is again. Different street, same umbrella with one broken rib sticking out. The passenger says, "He shows up where there's a repeat." I asked, low. Who is he? He didn't answer, and somehow that made it worse. We pull up to a low building, shop or storage unit. Dark, one flickering light, guard shack with no lights, empty lot. The nav says, arrived, and goes silent. He says, stop here, I'll walk the rest. I look around, nobody, and my brain goes, you can't leave a person here. I said, I can pull closer to the light, or wait. He smiles, don't. If you wait, you'll hear it, and you'll answer. I don't want you to answer. He hands me cash, 2 20s. I glance at the meter, 17 and change. I start to speak. It's set. He lifts his hand like stop. Don't say the amount. Don't say numbers. Don't lock it in. I shut my mouth. I slid the bills into the glove box, no change. He grabs his box and case, gets out. Door shuts, and the cabin goes muffled, like underwater. Wipers moving, but the sound is far away. I keep my eyes forward, not the mirror. I see him walking to the fence. He stops and turns back toward the car. I can't see his face, but I feel him looking at me. That was my first real choice. Crack the window and ask if he's okay. Get out, call someone, or leave. And I left. Not because I'm cruel, because it's easier, because you're tired. And if I'm honest, part of me didn't want questions later. Convenience won. I get back under normal lights and almost convince myself it's just a tech glitch. Rain, interference, old radio building, whatever. Then my personal phone rings. Unknown number. Caller ID shows my own name, like I'm calling myself. And like an idiot, I hit speaker. My voice says, "Can you hear me?" I almost let go of the wheel. I hung up immediately. Same second dispatch clicks. Car 17, are you on location? Can you hear me? I don't answer. Then the car speakers fill with white noise, radio I never turned on, and inside it, clear as day, a voice says, "I hear you, I hear you, I hear you," 3 times. That was my answer. The "yeah, I hear you" from the start, stamped into something. I pull into a 24-hour gas station on Abercorn. Bright lights, people, cameras. I open the back door, empty. Of course. But it felt like I was looking for a sound, not a person. I buy a water just to keep my hands busy. One of those dumb little things you do so you don't have to sit with your hands shaking on the wheel. I get back in, sit down, and see something on the rear floor mat. A small white plastic card. No text. Hole punched like an ID badge. One thin scratch across it that looked like the number 17. Like someone had dragged a key across it on purpose. I should have tossed it. I didn't. I shoved it in my pocket like proof I wasn't losing it. And once I started driving again, everything went quiet. No calls, no phrases. Like it got what it wanted and powered down. At home, I pulled the dashcam footage. It was all there. Him saying, "Don't answer." The nav cutting in, dispatch repeating, me hanging up. And the worst part? On the recording near that warehouse, you can hear me whisper my own name. Like I couldn't help it. Like I needed to test that I still owned my voice. I don't remember doing it, but the camera remembered. A week later, police called. Asked if I picked up a man near the old radio office. Wanted the video. They said someone matching him was seen near an old transmitter tower on the edge of town. Then he vanished. They needed routes, anything. And here's where my guilt really starts. I told them my camera wasn't working. Card malfunction. Lie. The file was perfect. Why lie? Because I didn't want the hassle. I didn't want anyone looking too close at my night, my stops, my cash. And there was another ugly piece. I didn't want the story to become real outside my car. As long as it stayed with me, it was just a bad night. The second I handed it to police, it would turn into paperwork and questions and, worst of all, somebody would say his name out loud and ask me to say it too. That evening I went into the camera menu and deleted the file. Just hit delete. Like that could erase anything. Later I saw a missing person post. I scrolled past, pretended it wasn't him. Months after that, I'm in a shop on Bull Street, and there's a flyer on a bulletin board. His face, his name, if you've seen him. And I knew. It was him, only smiling, normal, like a guy you'd forget 5 minutes later. And there's a woman standing nearby, watching who stops to read. You can tell when someone's waiting for a stranger to become a witness. She had that look, half hope, half bracing for disappointment. When our eyes met, I looked away, acted like I was staring at gum. I could have said, I drove him, I remember where I dropped him, even without video. But I pictured the next 10 minutes, her asking me to repeat every detail, me stumbling over words, me admitting I deleted the footage, me apologizing, me trying to look like a decent person while knowing I hadn't been one. I got scared of what would happen next, and I stayed quiet. Since then, every time I hear a radio check, my chest tightens. I took my name placard down. I changed my phone. I stopped taking cash, like that fixes anything. And you'd think that's it. You'd think your brain files it under bad shift and moves on. But sometimes, usually when it's raining, I hear that phrase in normal places. Cashier in a headset, guard into a walkie, a dad in a parking lot testing a Bluetooth speaker. And my brain throws me right back to 117, the flickering light, that umbrella with the broken rib. Like the city itself has a bookmark there. One night I'm driving empty down Bay Street, rain again, and my navigation app opens by itself. A route pops up to that same warehouse. Arrival time, 1:17. And the voice says, "Can you hear me?" I shut the phone off and tossed it in the glove box like it was hot. Then I sat near Forsyth Park and laughed because if I didn't, I'd cry. So when you said it just now, "Can you hear me?" It dragged all that back up. Sorry, didn't mean to dump my mess on you. We're almost there. See those old lamps? Moss hanging right over the street. This part of town always feels like it's holding its breath at night. We'll go right, then left, and you'll be at your place. You don't owe me details. You said you were just checking your mic, right? Yeah, testing if it works. Got it. Normal life. Still, let me say this, just human to human. If your headphones or your car ever asks you that question a second time in a row, don't say yes out loud. Not because it's magic, because sometimes your brain hooks onto a word like it's a button, and later you don't even notice you're pressing it again. After that night, I ended up with my own little rule. If someone says, "Can you hear me?" I don't say yes out loud. I nod, or I answer different, because that word got stuck in the loop, and it feels like if I give it a place again, it'll find a way out again. You know what's worst? Not that tech glitches. Tech always glitches. Worst is what I chose. I deleted the recording. I stayed quiet in front of that woman. And now I wonder if the loop isn't about radios at all. Maybe it's about leaving something unfinished and your conscience keeping the door half open. All right, we're here, on the right. I'll pull you close to the entrance so you don't have to walk in the rain. Careful, deep puddle by the curb. Okay, that's it. Meter. Huh. Sorry, this backlight flickers when it's humid. Look at that. It's showing 117 even though it's 12:44. Happens, I guess. Anyway, the app will charge whatever it says. Thanks for listening. And have a good night. Watch your step, those stones get slick. Hey, you shut the door? Yeah, okay. It latched. I thought it didn't catch. Sorry. Take care. And now you're walking away. And my dispatch radio. What's funny is it was off, just clicked. And a voice, my voice, very soft, said, "Can you hear me?"